Hello everyone, welcome back to Coasters and Places. If you haven't yet watched one of my videos, welcome, and make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe. So with the recent closure of Six Flags America in Maryland, I wanted to make a video for some nostalgia and just going over all of the roller coasters that ever operated at the park. There are some that actually I didn't realize, a couple that actually operated here. So I thought this would be a fun way to just take a trip down memory lane. And I'm going to talk about all of those roller coasters in this video in order of how they opened at the park. Not necessarily when the coaster opened, period, but when they opened at Six Flags America. So, and also just give a little insight about each coaster as well, talk about some history, just for old time's sake, also with the uncertainty of the park, what's going to happen. And I would hope that maybe some of the remaining coasters and flat rides would be relocated, but right now we just kind of don't know. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the first coaster that did open at Six Flags America, which was not known as Six Flags America at the time. Six Flags America originally started off as like a safari, and then it was turned into Wild World, and then Adventure World, then it was Six Flags America. So when it was known as Wild World, they introduced the first coaster, Wild One, and this was still operating up until the park's closure. This is an old wooden coaster dated all the way back to 1917, but it opened at the park in 1986. It was from Paragon Park. It was known there as Giant Coaster, built by PTC. When it was moved, Charles Den Corporation was responsible for moving it, and they also added length to the coaster, making it 4,000 feet long. So this coaster, even though being over 100 years old, has held up fantastic. It is smooth. It has a lot of great airtime, a lot of great elements, and it's just an all-around great ride. It does make me sad because it does look like this is the end for Wild One and a coaster being so old and nostalgic and it being a great ride. But then we have the next coaster, which no footage that I could find on it. I did not know this coaster actually ever existed at the park. And it was opened in 1993 or earlier and operated to 1998. It's a Molina & Sons smaller coaster, the Great Alonzo's Cannonball Coaster. It's just a small kids coaster is what it was, only 12 foot tall with a 6 foot drop. It was replaced by the coaster called Great Chase. Alright, next, I actually found some footage on this. This is Python. So it originally opened in 1978 at Great Adventure as part of what was called Lightning Loops, a set of two coasters, and part of Lightning Loops got actually sent to Frontier City, and it's now known as Diamondback, so you can actually go there and ride it. And then Python got sent to Six Flags America, which was then Adventure World at the time. And this was closed. It was opened in 1993 as Python, and it was closed after the 1998 season to make room for another coaster. It was an Aero Shuttle Loop coaster, 635 feet long, 56 feet tall, 47 foot drop, top speed of 45 miles per hour. So not the best stats, but judging by how Diamondback is at Frontier City, it's still a fun, good coaster. But yeah, just ended up getting removed to make room for future expansion. Okay, next coaster to open at Adventure World was Professor Screamore's Skywinder. That always trips me up trying to say that. It was opened on May 20th, 1995, but it was called Mind Eraser until 2024 when it was renamed and giving new trains. So this is a Vekoma SLC, inverted coaster, and it was pretty rough and painful until they got the new trains, and that really did help make the difference. 2,260 feet long, 5 inversions, 109 foot tall. And this did close with the park when it closed. So, literally just after Premier Parks acquired Adventure World, which they would later the next year in 1999 rename to Six Flags America, Roar opened. It opened on May 2nd, 1998. This is a GCI wooden coaster, and its twin actually opened at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. However, that was later RMC'd, turned into the Joker. Roar was never RMC'd. So it's 3,468 feet long, 95 feet tall, 50 miles per hour. It's pretty rough, pretty painful, honestly. Has a kind of boring layout. Doesn't really do much, doesn't have a lot of airtime. Even though it was newer, it was definitely worst of the two wooden coasters that Six Flags America had. And I don't see this being relocated, and that's probably honestly a good thing. Just not that great of a ride. This is another coaster that I did not realize opened with the park, and it's called Two-Face the Flip Side. And we're going to have 3 coasters in a row that all opened after Premier Parks acquired the park, and these opened on May 8th, 1999. This first one is Two-Face the Flip Side. It's an Invertigo model by Vekoma. It closed on October 16, 2007 after an incident happened. And I'm not going to get too much into the incident, but this is basically what is Invertigo at Kings Island, which is like the last one in America. It was moved to Movieland Park in Italy and reopened in 2015 as Diabolic, and you could still go ride it today. Personally, I've always really liked these Invertigo models. I think they're fun, intense. I don't find them to be rough either. But yeah, I really like them. I think they're a lot of fun. Okay, next up, we have Great Chase, which replaced Great Alonzo's Cannonball Coaster. This is the second of the coasters that opened on May 8th, 1999. It's just a basic Zamperla family kiddie coaster. Nothing too thrilling. I mean, it's only 13 feet tall, 262 foot long. This did close with the park, so fate unknown. However, this being a small coaster, it could easily be relocated to a different park that doesn't have a kiddie coaster, or maybe has a super outdated kiddie coaster, and this would give them one that's a little newer at least. But yeah, that's just Great Chase. The final of the 3 coasters that opened in 1999 on May 8th is Joker's Jinx. This is a Premier Ride still launched roller coaster called a catapult coaster actually, but it's more commonly referred to as a spaghetti bowl coaster. And this is a cloned coaster type, if it does look familiar to you. It's a fun ride. It's not terribly rough, although it is in a couple of spots. It's pretty intense. Like that launch, it goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and you feel that. It's got 4 inversions, has a top height of 79 feet. It's 2,705 feet long. It does have some maintenance issues here and there, so kind of doubt this would get relocated, although it doesn't take up a super large footprint per se. But yeah, it's honestly, I think it's a fun coaster. Next up, which is arguably their best coaster before the park closed, opened in 2000. We have Superman Ride of Steel, which is an Intamin Steel hypercoaster. They call it the Mega Coaster model. Has a 205 foot drop, 5,350 feet long, top speed of 73 miles an hour. And it feels like you're flying on this coaster. It's glossy smooth, has lots of air times. The helixes at the end in particular are really intense. And honestly, it's just a great coaster. It's a lot of fun. It's in good shape. However, this coaster is huge, so I don't see relocation being super likely. But You know, who knows? I'd love to see it go somewhere that desperately needs a top tier coaster like this. But as for now, we'll just wait and see. The next coaster to open is Batwing, which opened on June 16, 2001. But this actually did close this year before the park closed for good due to technical difficulties, basically reliability issues. This is a Vekoma Flying Dutchman coaster. Batwing was the last surviving one. There was only 3 made. You had Nighthawk at Carowinds, and then Firehawk at Kings Island. It was actually a really fun coaster, Batwing. It was 3,340 feet long, 115 feet tall, had a 103 foot drop, 5 inversions. It was pretty intense, and I love that vertical loop especially, and then the 2 moments where you go upside down towards the end. They're really fun, and just feeling like you're flying. Restraints were very weird though, but honestly, I am gonna miss this coaster. So next is Firebird, which it's a B&M Floorless. It originally opened at the park on June 7th, 2012, and it was known as Apocalypse. It came from Six Flags Great America, where it was known as Iron Wolf. It was the very first B&M ever, opened in 1990. And when it came to Six Flags America, it was a stand-up coaster. And in 2019, it opened as Firebird to be a floorless coaster. So it's basically originally opened before the last coaster on this list, but in a different format. Same coaster, but they changed it to floorless, so it is a different ride experience. But it was not a very good ride. Even changing this to floorless, it was B&M's first try. Usually, sometimes not all that good. It only had 2 inversions, a boring layout, but it was rough. Like, it just was very uncomfortable, both as a stand-up and as a floorless. I don't see this getting relocated, but maybe, possibly, I don't know. But its stats, it was only 100 foot tall, 2,900 feet long, 90 foot drop. And again, it says, I said it only had 2 inversions. And it did close when the park closed. Last but not least, here is Ragin' Cajun, which originally opened in 2004 at Six Flags Great America. And then it was sent and opened at Six Flags America on June 21st, 2014. It's opened in the spot where Two-Face, the flip side, was located. And it did close with the park. It's a Zamperla spinning wild mouse coaster. And this is 1,378 feet long, 29 miles per hour, 43 feet tall. So not the craziest stats, but depending on what kind of ride you get, this could be really, really intense. You could spin more depending on the weight, how that's distributed, and honestly, I always like this. I think it's a really great ride. I think it would be a great candidate to relocate because it doesn't take up a lot of land, and it's just a fun family coaster, honestly. It's smooth, a great ride, really. But yeah, that was the last edition that opened at Six Flags America, unless you want to count Firebird, which technically came before, but then was converted to floorless. But yeah, that is all the coasters ever at Six Flags America. I'm actually surprised they didn't ever have more coasters than what they had. Yeah, just a little trip of nostalgia down memory lane for sure with some of these, and a couple I didn't even know that were ever at the park. But in the comments down below, let me know what you think. What do you think is going to happen with these coasters or the rides? And are you sad to see Six Flags America go and be closed forever? And again, I just want to thank you so much for watching this video. Like and subscribe if you have.